The following is a Hoop Ball presentation.
Hoop Ballers! Welcome back. Welcome back to another episode and another edition of Today in Sports Betting. I am your host, Devin Ellington. We're at DALE007 on Twitter. You can find me within the Wager Pass and sometimes in the free play article. Recently going 1-1 for +1 unit in my free play article submits. So right now we got Riley over on the free play on hoop-ball.com. Make sure to go there and check out all your newest NBA news and notes for your health and transactions stuff. Right hand side of the screen. Lots of information. We got free team coverage, NBA team specific coverage. We've got college football wagers and analysis. And we've also got some wonderful fantasy basketball tools and a fantasy football mind. Just had my draft Sunday. Played it safe. I had some really good keepers. James Robinson in the 13th, I believe it was. And then I got Robbie Anderson over on 15th round. So yes, fantasy football ramblings here. My team, you know what? Hey, I like my team. So I'm warming up to him. I took Cole Kmet in the 10th. We'll see if he can bust through this year. Let's see. My first pick was quads. Had to go with Saquon. He fell to me at 8. So I was hoping to wrap back around, grab Austin Eckler, but he went the next pick. So I got Clyde Edwards-Helaire in the 2nd. Chris Godwin in the 3rd. I kept Allen Robinson in the 5th. So I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But this is not a fantasy football show. If you want that, you look up Today in Fantasy Football, and it is a wonderful show hosted by our guy at Talking Sunday, a.k.a. AG. Yes. All right. So happy Labor Day weekend conclusion. Hope everyone is safe. New listeners, thank you. Old listeners, welcome back and welcome in. Wipe your shoes. Come on in. Today is a very special show. It's a very fun show. It's special because it's all about me. Today is my birthday, and I get to talk a lot about college football. We got so many games to preface. I might talk about every single game today on this podcast. I'm going to see how quickly I can ramble it off and fire it off. We're going to be doing kind of like a first, second, third look. If you are a part of the Wager Pass and the Premium and the Hoop Ball loyalty program, you get access to Discord, and you've already seen some talkings going on. We've got a little bit of WNBA trend going, and then Joe's been taking care of folks wonderfully in the World Cup qualifiers. Joe, very experienced in that. Mr. Campese, our guy. So make sure to find us in every avenue that you can. All right. Well, I think intros are done. Don't forget about those promo codes, mybookie.ag. They ran some odds boosts, 5 different odds boosts. I got Alabama minus 13.5. I was already on them at 19.5. They ended up winning by like 30 or so. And I'm going to be playing the Crimson Tide all year. I'm just taking them on the spread all year. I'm going to track it. I'm going to make it as a $10 bet, and I'm just going to look and see what the ROI is at the end of the year. It's crazy. Nick Saban was like 60+% as a double-digit favorite against a ranked opponent, non-con specifically. So the guy wins. This team this year looks damn good. That Brian Robinson kid in the backfield, I think he's going to be a stud. He's a senior and he hasn't really played. He's just been building and working and practicing and going up against some of these great Alabama running backs that keep going to the NFL. Robinson could slip up and be like a 5th-round pick, maybe. I mean, if he has a great year, I see 1,200 yards on him easily. Coffee. Sorry. Okay, so let's start flying into this thing, okay? I think that we have a decent amount to talk about. So tomorrow is where it all starts off. This weekend's going to be a little bit more packed in on Saturday. We got some Friday night stuff. No Thursday night football. Obviously, the NFL starts, so NCAA kind of took the back seat on that. And then we look at some familiarity that we're seeing. And it's very, very awesome. I'm really, really liking what is being presented to us. And so as I get Tally Site pulled up, I want to preface this slate by saying that the Coastal Carolina Chanticleers get to play Kansas University for the 3rd straight year. Okay? Coastal Carolina in the Sun Belt Conference. If you've heard any of the podcasts over the last year and a half, you've heard my wild support on the Teal Cocks, is what I like to call them. And I really like this Coastal Carolina team. But the gig is up. The jig is up, whatever the saying is. I'm not picking KU to win. The spread on this game is ridiculous, and we're going to get there in a sec. I mean, it is. Okay, so first of all, it opened at 28. It opened at 28. And then it's now at 25.5 over on tallysite.com, which is a wonderful affiliate of ours. Coastal Carolina is number 22. Over under started at 50.5. It's at 52.5. I think Coastal Carolina is going to be comfortable at home. They have very good success against KU. Now, I want to say with Leopold in there for KU, they significantly are a better team. The head coach, the hire from Buffalo. He brought in a lot of talent from his roster over in Buffalo. Coastal Carolina. Look, 97% of the money's on them, 72% of the bet tickets. There are a lot of folks, not a lot of folks, I mean, just a few folks, who thinks KU's going to cover the spread. I am curious as to why the spreads dropped when 97% of the money and 72% of the bet percentages on Coastal Carolina. You would think it'd go up towards 30-ish, but it's at 25.5. Coastal Carolina is going to be playing some damn good defense this year. They have a lot of guys back on that front. Kansas upgraded, yes, but they are not as deep. Leopold, sure, he got his awesome first win against an FCS school by 3 points. Look, I'm on the over 1 for the full season KU win total, but I knew that week 1 was going to offer me at least a push. So now I get to ride the rest of the season thinking that they might push. So Coastal Carolina with that quarterback, Grayson McCall, phenomenal. They got a talented backfield. They did lose Marable from last year, their all-time leading rusher, if I'm not mistaken. He's up there. I mean, he had a great, phenomenal season the last couple of years. But look, they got a deep backfield. That was a part of their luxury last year. Wide receivers, if I'm not mistaken, they all pretty much return. This is a talented team with a talented coach, Jamie Chadwell. I find it curious as to why all the money and all the bets are coming in, but yet the line's dropping. I find that smidge fishy. So I'm glad I waited on the 28.5, and now that it's at a 25.5 number, that makes me feel a little bit better. Curious and suspicious a little bit. But look, the bets and the money percent, like And this team is good. This team is good. Ain't no doubt about it. They've got KU's number, you know. Lance Leopold didn't bring over a quarterback, and that's the main issue for Kansas. So keep that in mind. Let's see here, huh? All right, so I need to pick up the pace. Coastal Carolina minus 25.5. All right, cool. No opinion on that total. North Carolina A&T, the Aggies, Duke Blue Devils. I just want to say that last week against Charlotte, I was originally on Charlotte. I got persuaded and I didn't make my own opinionated. I always struggle with that word, pick. So I bit the big one a little bit. It cost me probably 20 spots on Tally site. Currently outside the top 50, out of about 190, almost 200 analysts. Again, a lot of Athlon Sports, CBS Sports guys. Chip Patterson's on there. Lots of media content, folks. ESPN people, which we all know how I feel about them on this show. ESPN's just kind of whack. Yeah, so Duke definitely beats North Carolina A&T. A&T is a damn good FCS school though, so I'm going to see what the spread might end up being. Not a lot of lines out. Not a lot of lines. Yeah, I'm not even finding anything. This one we don't need to spend much time on. Yeah. In the North Dakota, Utah State, still nothing out for that one either. But Utah State surprised me, and they romped Washington State in week 1. They came out. They played very well. And they surprised me. They were, I think, 15.5-point dogs, if I remember correctly. So there's that. Okay. I just looked at something for the UTEP Boise State game. So let's move on to this one. Man, that kind of ruins me a little bit. Deion Hankins, the stud running back for the Miners, he's going to be out. Undisclosed Hankins, and this is from teamrankings.com. It was updated yesterday. I mean, they're already saying he's not going to suit up Friday. Undisclosed, Hankins missed the previous game due to an unknown injury. Right now it's 26 for UTEP. This is a game tomorrow night at 9:30. Boise State, you know, they had a great first half against Central Florida, and we were on the Boise State money line and points. I had the 6.5, so I got to cover it because they lost at 6. Long story short, man, this is this is a talented UTEP team. Don't get me wrong; their defense is going to be testy, but with that running back being out, I mean, that's pretty big, which he was out last game. I guess I didn't realize that. I thought maybe he came out of that game. But with the defense that they've got and the pace that they play at, I mean, Boise State's trying, like I said, half 100. You know, that's the new offensive coordinator's mindset coming over from UC Davis. Boise State's got a really good defense also. I know you didn't see it much against UCF, but look, that game was meant to be a shootout. It was a showcase of the group of 5, you know, for us with the playoff expansion. That's what it was. They picked those two teams for a reason. 25.5 is a lot. UTEP's offense is very bad at times, but they can be very physical also. Kelton Moss looks like he's questionable. He's a D tackle for the Miners. So losing some line depth is never good, especially with Boise State having a lot of multi-purpose Swiss Army knife backs like Halani and Van Buren. I think they got a 3-headed monster back there. Okay. Yeah. So as of right now, I'm looking at the under 57.5 because I think that these defenses in the front sevens are actually pretty good. UTEP, if this was closer to 20, I think I'd play this down to 20 and even 24. I mean, that's a round number, but 20, 25.5, that means Boise State probably ends up winning by 27 or 31, just the way numbers work in football scores. So it's kind of right there in the weird middle. And like I said, it opened a little higher, opened at 26. So it's come down. People are taking the UTEP points, but it might be people not aware that Mr. Hankins is going to be out. Mr. Hankins a Christmas. No, I'm kidding. No, he's not poop. He's not poop at all. He's a good running back. It was just yeah. Anyways, UTEP plus the points. Boise State, UTEP. Let's look at that under. Illinois, Virginia, the Cavaliers fighting Illini. Yes. Okay, so we are doing well on Illini this season as a team over here at Hoopball. We had them covering against Nebraska week 1. Obviously, they won outright. I did miss on the under in that game. I think it was that I had. So I technically went 1-1 with my Illinois plays in week 1, but also I faded them in week 2. UTSA, San Antonio, Texas San Antonio, the Roadrunners. I went ahead and took them because I thought that was a really good spot to fade Illinois coming off that big opening Big Ten game. So I thought this number opened way too high, and I guess the market agreed with me, but I didn't have the stones to pull my trigger. And I left the points. I left some stuff on the bone here for Illinois. I mean, it opened at 11, right? And then Virginia struggled in their opening game. And you can still get 10s out there somewhere. 9.5 is where I'm seeing it on Tally site. And at 9.5, I don't like it. So double digits, if you can get you a double digit look, 10.5 is going to be my sweet spot. Virginia is going to probably grind this game out. Both teams are going to run the ball a lot. And with Virginia, their football team and basketball team kind of play the same way. Ultimately, I feel Virginia will win this one. I need to do a deep scrub on Virginia, but Illinois' defense just has not been impressive for me. I think it's going to do enough because Virginia's offense doesn't have a ton of black powder in their firing cannon as an offense. But Illinois on the road after losing at home against a smaller foe, after beating a Big Ten opponent on the road, I mean, this schedule is just kind of up and down for them. It's hard to get some continuity going. Virginia at home looking to bounce back. So I like Virginia to win. They're minus 388. I'm not telling you to go bet that craziness, but as far as me making my tally site picks, that's what it's at. Under 55.5 is something I'll be looking at. Bronco Mendenhall, head coach of the Hoos, very, very good defensive coach. Okay, this will be interesting. This game, Western Kentucky and Army. And the line has risen a ton. So I think that I'm going to have to look at Western Kentucky on this one. It opened at 3.5 and it's doubled to +7. 53.5 is the total. Army steamrolled Georgia State, which surprised me because Georgia State returned all their starters on offense from last year. Cornelius Brown at quarterback, very talented. They've got a dynamic coaching staff that is looking to have a huge upswing this year. It's a team that's had a lot of success under the coach that they've got now. And then you look at the defense that they returned, and also, that was kind of baffling. I think that they just kind of stubbed their toe against Army. I think Army just played them perfect. The offensive stats and time of possession, Army had 40 to almost 43 minutes on the time of possession. I think Georgia State had like 15 minutes, 17 minutes, something like that, what it would equate to for the full hour. But look, I bet Western Kentucky can kind of pop this Army defense a little bit. The tempo is going to be there. Army defends dual threat quarterbacks really well, obviously being a service academy and playing option offenses a lot. So I think with Bailey Zappi being able to fire the cannon, he's got way more juice on the arm than Cornelius Brown. No down talk to Cornelius Brown, because I do like the kid, and I think Georgia State's in a good spot against UNC this weekend. We'll talk about that one later, kids, and that is an example of foreshadowing. So Western Kentucky, the Hilltoppers, look, that defense is solid too. They're physical, and they offer up some line yards that they can snag up. And I think this is going to be a good battle in the trenches for both defensive lines. Army really impressed me, but I just don't think that this is going to be a spot where Army's defense is going to be able to have success against this. Just the amount of speed that's on this Western Kentucky team. A lot of those Houston Baptist transfers, Zappi, the quarterback, and, he plays really well against Power 5 and Group of 5 teams. His numbers against FBS opponents, very, very good. Bailey Zappi and the defense for Western Kentucky going to be the big primary factors there, but I'm going to take the touchdown. It was at 3.5 when it opened, and, that was getting minus 117 shades. So, look, I wouldn't be shocked if Western Kentucky wins this game. It's a good spot for them, in my opinion. And I'm gonna have me some Hilltoppers coming in this weekend. Kent State plays Virginia Military Institute, the Keydets. Look, Kent State, they got a really good quarterback in Crum. They're gonna put some points up, but I'm not gonna be handicapping that game too deeply. All right. Oregon, Ohio State. All right, I'm going to leave this one alone because we'll probably dissect this one a little more in the week. It's going to be a very key pivotal game, and I know we'll probably have a couple guys playing on it. Oregon, number 11, coming off that squeaker of a win against Fresno State, which we were on Fresno State in the 20.5. So yay. Ohio State, they kind of dismantled Minnesota and broke them as they knocked Mohammed Ibrahim out for the season, which sucks because he probably would have been the only, him and Breece Hall from Iowa State, and then maybe one other dark horse out there has a shot to hit 2,000 yards on the season. And he was definitely the top guy to do it. Yeah, so let's leave that one alone. 63.5 is the total. 14 is the spread. South Carolina, ECU. I think ECU can get it done. They're at home. South Carolina is in a desperate position for their quarterback. They are, they're not in a good spot for their quarterbacks. They are, let's see, what's the kid's name? Sorry, I should know this stuff, right? Should definitely know this stuff. Jeopardy rosters. All right, here we go. So yeah, it was a kid that transferred in from a different school. That's usually what happens when you transfer. I don't know why I'm blanking on this kid. Anyways, he wasn't impressive. He was at I believe it was North Dakota State first or second. And he retired. Zeb Nolan. He retired. I think it was health issues or something. He wanted to focus on becoming a coach, right? But he was pretty much coaching at South Carolina as a graduate coach or something. And they went down like 2 quarterbacks in camp or something. So I'm saying or something a lot. But Zeb Nolan, he's South Carolina's starting quarterback, but I don't think he's going to get it done. I think that Eastern Carolina with Colt Nailors at quarterback, real dynamic playmaker, a lot of good speed and size on the wide receiver front. And then also you've got a couple of good looks at the defense of East Carolina, with their defensive line having some really good power and speed. And then also, I like the fact that you've got a chance to get an inexperienced Zeb Nolan here who's got mixed results. So that's enough of me stumbling around South Carolina and East Carolina. But before I do, let's just check out the injury report. Holy cow. So South Carolina, looking like Kevin Harris, running back of theirs, questionable. Rick Sandidge, defensive line. Hank Manos, offensive line. Questionable. So look for those to be updated throughout the week. Yeah, South Carolina's got some holes. And East Carolina -2. I mean, that's just a field goal, obviously. I think that sticks out to me. They're -130 on the money line. And so Auburn's playing Alabama State, the Hornets. I'm going to roll Auburn, obviously, for my tally site selection. It is what it is. Pittsburgh, a huge favorite against Tennessee, an SEC school. I say huge favorite, but it's -4.5. This one I want to dig into a little more. I really like Pittsburgh. I do. I think they're going to be a pretty successful team this year. And going against Tennessee, who's got some weird wonkiness at quarterback, they still don't even have that really figured out. Pittsburgh, I think, wins outright. So I'll put that on my tally site picks, but I'm holding on the spread. I want to see if that might come down a little bit. But right now, 70% of tally site professionals picking Pittsburgh to cover the spread. I'm going to take the 4.5 just because I think it could raise, and I don't want my hopes of it dropping to get squandered. So I'll just take that right now and be safe, and then we'll look at it if it goes down. Norfolk State, Wake Forest, you know what to do. Kennesaw State, Georgia Tech. This is an in-state Georgia rivalry. Not really a rivalry, but they're both located in or around the Atlanta area, so I'm going to be very close to this game. And maybe, probably not. I was going to say maybe I snag a ticket and go to this game. But Georgia Tech, Kennesaw State's not terrible. I'll say that. So once the spread drops, maybe we can take advantage of that. Michigan State's going to roll Youngstown State, in my opinion, 20.5. Michigan State played really, really well. Really, really well against, Northwestern. I'm just trying to remember all this stuff, y'all. Northwestern was who they beat week 1. Miami of Ohio, the Red Hawks, taking on Minnesota. Look, they just lost Ibrahim, like I said. So this game going to be a little weird for me. I want to see what Miami does. They had a clunker in week 1. Minnesota obviously going up against Ohio State and losing their guy. That sucks a lot. So let's look and see how this pans out. 19.5 is currently the line, plus 19.5 for the Red Hawks, 55.5 the total. No opinion. Indiana State, Northwestern. Look, I'm inclined to roll with Indiana State plus 26.5. I know it's a lot of points for a reason, but, Indiana State did underperform against Eastern Illinois. So, I'm probably good. Morgan State, Tulane, leaving that off to Canes and Ohio. I think I'm good there. Middle Tennessee State, Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech coming off the big win against North Carolina. They're at home again against the Blue Raiders. And I'm just going to go ahead and leave this one away for right now. Tulsa, OSU. Look, I'm an Oklahoma boy at heart. This is where I grew up. I grew up supporting Oklahoma State, wearing an Oklahoma State sweatshirt right now. And or in words of my significant other, a long sleeve tee. I grew up in the trailer parks of Oklahoma. If it's long sleeve, it's a sweatshirt. It keeps you warm. It's too hard to remember all these other T designations. Like, just give me a sweatshirt. Like warm clothes, cold clothes. I don't need to know the names of them. I know what socks are. I know what shoes are. Mittens. I mean, I'm still questionable on that. Anyways, Tulsa and Oklahoma State. I'm just gonna watch the game. It's 13 and a half, 14 on the spread. I think it's a little too much, but Tulsa shat the bed against UC Davis, so a bounce back spot could be on their mind. And then Tulsa barely lost against Oklahoma State last year in their season opener. So, with that being said, OSU could be, and then Oklahoma State performed really bad against Missouri State FCS school last week. They only won by like 6. Spread was 38 and a half. So I don't know. I mean, I think I'm good. Florida against South Florida. I'm going to just fade South Florida. They're so terrible. They could actually be an FCS school. They play 3 FCS schools and they'd probably lose 2 of the games, would be my true honest opinion there. And the Florida Gators, they're probably going to roll. 29. Give me 29. Wyoming, Northern Illinois. Northern Illinois played really well in their opener. Wyoming, they struggled against Montana State. We were on the points with Montana State, 19 and a half, and Wyoming only won by 3. I might be looking to go against Wyoming in this one. Maybe Northern Illinois first half when first half lines drop. Middle Tennessee, Virginia, we talked about. Gonna be looking to other ways on that. Rutgers and Syracuse. Rutgers beat the shit out of Temple. Syracuse beat Ohio. I left that game off of my card last week because Frank Solich all of a sudden have to retire after his 17th season here. I think it was all 17 years at Ohio. I mean, he had almost a 20-year career. It was 17 years at one school, if I remember right. He was the most experienced college football head coach, longest tenured, I shall say. And, well, I think that's what did him in against Syracuse. Syracuse got the win. Not sure how good they are. Rutgers really did it to Temple. They put 60 on them. Yeah, I lost 3 bets in that one. 3 picks in that one. So this one, I don't know. This one's actually interesting to me. I need to read up on Syracuse. I'll deep dive on Syracuse. Northern Arizona and South Dakota. This is an FCS battle. Northern Arizona, very, very talented. Very good FCS school. South Dakota damn near beat KU. South Dakota, the Coyotes, with that physical defense and running game. I like them in this spot. Holy Cross playing Merrimack College. Holy Cross just beat UConn. Holy Cross is actually talented, so keep that in mind. Notre Dame did not cover against Florida State in my second free article play the other night. So I'm going to leave this game with them in Toledo off of my card initially. Totals 53 and a half. A lot of love to the over. Toledo plus 16 and a half. Speaking of those UConn Huskies, Randy Edsall just stepped down. He said he was going to see the season out, and then, 2 days later, he ended up just chunking the deuce. Purdue. Look, you're going to see UConn. UConn just lost to Holy Cross, FCS Holy Cross. They got destroyed week 1. I believe it was Fresno State. Purdue, 33. It's a big number, but it opened, I believe, at 28 and a half, 27 and a half. It's come up a full touchdown since Randy Edsall's announcement. I don't know, man. Purdue could score 50. So the 57 and a half look. I mean, if UConn could squeak 10 out or a field goal and Purdue put 55 up, Purdue's offense is going to be a potent one this year. Purdue minus 33. I think I got to roll with that. We're going to fade UConn this year. We'll see how it goes. We hit with the Fresno State one. Let's go back with Purdue. This might be another first half look on these big spreads. Early in the season, coaches might pull their guys. Over 57.5. I just don't know. We'll look at that a little later. Texas A&M, Colorado. Colorado getting 16.5 points at home. Texas A&M's got a really good defense. I'm just unsure of that game. I haven't done a deep reading or deep dive on A&M or Colorado. Boston College plays UMass. 38 is the current spread. Boston College, the Golden Eagles, it opened at 36.5. I think they just roll. Air Force, Navy. I don't really like to do the Service Academy game. Sorry. And plus, I'm an Army veteran. So, certain colored lens. Buffalo, Nebraska. Nebraska, man. They barely covered against Fordham. I took the 43.5. They won by 45. And there was a late touchdown, like with 6 minutes left, maybe, by Nebraska. They broke off like a 40-yard run. Buffalo performed really well in their week 1 game against Wagner. They won like 69-7 or something, 69-3. They scored 69 points. Hey. 13.5, so it's 2 touchdowns for Nebraska to cover. Over 54.5 makes a lot of sense on this for me. I think Buffalo's got some things in place offensively that we might have overlooked. I know that Leopold left and they lost a lot of stuff from last year's team, but overall, I think Buffalo can hang, and therefore I think a lot more points are going to be scored. I think 60 points could be scored in this game. Cal, TCU, I'm undecided on this one. UAB versus Georgia. UAB, give me the points with the Blazers. We tried to go against the grain with them with the Jacksonville State pick in week 1, week 0. But look, UAB, no, it was week 1. UAB, yeah, Georgia coming off that game against Clemson. They handle biz, and that defense is ferocious. But this UAB team is probably going to win the Conference USA. They have a lot of upperclassmen. They've got a lot of Power 5 transfers in. They got recruits that were recruited by Power 5 schools. A lot of SEC stuff too. This is going to be a good game. UAB, Georgia, we'll look at them losing by less than 30. 20. It's 26 now, but yeah. Georgia Southern, Florida Atlantic. I'm going to bypass that one. Talked about Buffalo, Nebraska. Ball State, Penn State. Penn State coming off that huge win against Wisconsin. I might look at the over in this one. I tried to take the over in the Wisconsin-Penn State game, but those defenses just flexed out. Ball State could give up like 45 points, 38 points in this one. They score like 14, a couple touchdowns. I don't know. Yeah, we'll look at that one a little later too. Like I said, this is first glance. Temple, Akron, I'm going over. Have you seen these defenses? Temple just gave up 60 to Rutgers. Akron actually can pass the ball. They got a decent quarterback. Temple, they did lose their starting quarterback. I'm not sure how serious his injury is. Let's actually check on that real quickly, because the kid was a dynamic recruit and he was getting looked at by a lot of Power 5 schools. I believe he was like a 4-star recruit or something, but he, let me see if I can find it here. Here we go. Ball State, Penn State. And, he hurt his foot really bad last week. He's not listed on the injuries, so maybe he's all right. I'd say look into it a little more, but if he's definitely in, over 54 with how these defenses gave up a ton of points. Akron gave up 55, I believe it was, against Auburn. So over, yeah. I mean, these teams combined to give up at least 100 points last week. And I think that they could probably score at least 20 each. So just based off a low number for their offenses, I think that might happen. And based off of how bad the defenses are, I think we're good here. We're good. Cincinnati's going to beat Murray State. Like I said, I liked it. I don't know. I didn't say that yet, but Boston College against UMass we talked about. Mercer, Bama. Southern Alabama. I read up on this team last night. I love them. Southern Alabama's in a good spot here. We'll probably do a little deeper dive on this game. They're going up against Bowling Green. Bowling Green probably going to be one of the worst teams in the MAC. I would say South Alabama has a chance to make some noise in their conference. And I wouldn't be shocked if they completely just control this game and then force the under to hit because their defense, we'll talk about that later in the week, I'm sure. So looking at Eastern Washington, they're going against Central Washington University. That's a small game. Hey, FCS clash here. Maine Black Bears against James Madison, the Dukes. James Madison's the class of the FCS, but look at them to get the job done. UC Davis taking on San Diego. I think they follow up that win against Tulsa in a smart, physical way. Iowa against Iowa State. Iowa coming off that win against Indiana. Look, I think Iowa keeps it rolling. I like what Kirk Ferentz has done against Iowa State in the Farmageddon battle, and Iowa's going to be a team to look out for, in my opinion. I think they could get 9-10 wins this year. I'm going to gloss over South Carolina State and Clemson, Long Island, and West Virginia. I'm good. Western Michigan, I read up on them. I've actually got them open on my book right now. They got 9 returning starters on offense, 10 on defense. They got some really good transfers. I believe that their net close losses from last year are going to flip to positives in this year. Head coach Tim Lester's in his 5th year. He's the prior coach of a couple of smaller schools in Division II and Division III, but he's held some really good position coach jobs at a couple of Power 5 schools. Syracuse's offensive coordinator in 05-06, and then he was also Purdue's quarterback coach in 16. You've got some really, really good potential here on terms of the linebackers. AJ Thomas moved out back to free safety. They were desperate for bodies last year. Losing a third team all MAC player is tough in Hayward, but you get to see some really good stuff with Ali Fayyad, who's been with the team since at least 2018. That nose guard is going to anchor the line. Ralph Hawley, senior. He's a senior. He's going to be impactful. Getting Bryson Garner back is huge. Their punter, Nick Mahalik, is good. I mean, Western Michigan, they're playing Illinois State. I'm looking to see what a spread will be. I know Illinois State's an FCS school, but they're not a chum. But Western Michigan might get a little disrespect on the line, and we'll try to take advantage of it. Gardner Webb, the running Bulldogs, are going to be taking on Charlotte. I could fade Charlotte or try, but they just beat Duke, and they looked pretty good. And I was, like I said, initially on Charlotte, so I'm going to leave that alone. UTSA is going to beat Lamar. UTSA to start 2-0 in the year. Portland State, Washington State. No, thank you. Towson, New Hampshire. New Hampshire's going to win that one. Monmouth and Fordham. That's going to be a good game. I contemplated taking Monmouth last week when they were playing someone. They were playing someone. I just can't remember who I took or who they were playing against. Texas and Arkansas, I'm good on. Houston and Rice, Bethune-Cookman, UCF. I'm good there. Texas, Arkansas, no. Grambling State, University of Southern Mississippi, Frank Gore Jr. Look, Southern Miss kind of played really bad last week, so look for them to take advantage of a bounce back spot. Delaware State against St. Francis of Pennsylvania. The Blue Hens, I'll be taking them. Houston and Rice, like I said, no. NC State, Mississippi State. NC State, I like this team. They got that quarterback position figured out. That kid stays healthy. This is going to be good. This will be a good game here. It's 2.5 on the spread, minus 115 to the shade on the Wolfpack. I'm looking to support them. Texas State, Florida International. This is a good one here. I mean, even minus 110 on the money lines. 54.5 I might look at on the total because Florida State's very physical. They're going to look to run the ball. Texas State could have a few 3-and-outs throughout the game, and close line, decent total, 54.5. They covered this. Texas State covered against the Baylor Bears last week, which we were on. SMU, North Texas. North Texas looked pretty bad against Northwestern State until they pulled away. Ended up scoring 40 points, but it was close at half. SMU, don't remember. Oh, yeah, they played Abilene Christian. Believe they covered. SMU, they've got a very potent defense. North Texas, I don't think they're going to be able to score the ball. SMU's defense a little underrated. And I think this is going to be a game where one team does all the scoring. North Texas, they've got a lot of ways to go. They might win one game this year, in my opinion, which they just won. So 2 games, maybe. Appalachian State going up against the Miami Hurricanes, who just got throttled. I'm looking at taking App State in the points. More to come on that game. Eastern Michigan and Wisconsin. Wisconsin 24.5 point favorites. No opinion currently. Liberty, the Flames. Liberty. We're going to be playing lots of Liberty this year. Tons of Liberty. Under 60.5 sticks out to me. They're minus 213 on the money line. This line came down from 8.5 to 5.5, so that worries me. I read up on Troy last year. They are deep and loaded and talented, full of experience. They got a great coach. Did not realize what they had on their team, so I am a little more scared. But look, I think Liberty wins by double digits. Would like to look at some team totals when they're released. Could be a fun game to just throw a few different wagers in on. Baylor taking on Texas Southern, Stephen F. Austin, the Lumberjacks taking on Texas Tech. These would be really great basketball games. Kansas State and Southern Illinois, great basketball game. Memphis, Arkansas State. Memphis minus 5.5. Arkansas State with that passing game. Over 66, I don't believe so. I don't have an opinion strong enough to make a play on the over or under. Memphis has a good underrated defense. I would lean 5.5. Nicholls State playing Louisiana Lafayette, the Raging Cajuns. Raging Cajuns didn't do it for us. I tried to cash a plus 280 money line play on the dog of the Cajuns, and I took the 8.5 also. Didn't work. Texas was way too much. Bijan Robinson, that Texas running back, is pretty good. New Mexico State, New Mexico State's terrible, but they shouldn't be 18.5 point or underdogs in a rivalry game. With it being a rivalry game, I'm going to look, and with 2 bad offenses, Terry Wilson, he's pretty dynamic. Hey, speaking of quarterback in New Mexico, the Lobos, Terry Wilson, is from my hometown, Del City, Oklahoma. He played 1 year at Kentucky and then transferred to New Mexico. So 54.5, I'm going to say under because there's going to be a lot of run scheme. New Mexico State, very inefficient. New Mexico, I think one of the better parts of their defense is going to be that pass defense. Not like I've done a deep dive into New Mexico, but I think they'll be able to suppress the passing attack. New Mexico State, a lot of 3-and-outs for New Mexico State. Sloppiness, I would say. Turnovers, I would say combined 4 for the game. Alcorn State. We're not going to talk about that. Southeast Missouri State and Sam Houston. Sam Houston defending FCS champs. This is a tough game for them, but I'm going to back the defending champs. Tennessee State, Jackson State. Primetime, Deion Sanders going up against Eddie George. Eddie George coaching Tennessee State, I think, is who's doing that. So look at that to have some fun coach. I mean, the FCS is great this year. I love it. Let's move on. Let's just speed up a little bit here. I'm about to wrap the show, just so y'all know. Missouri and Kentucky, 5.5's out there makes sense to me for Missouri. That defense looked pretty good against Central Michigan. Hit the under by a hook. Kentucky, they're gonna look. So week one, right before the week one game, they had 31 players arrested for some like robbery stuff. I don't know what the fallout is or who's suspended, but it was okay in their week one game against ULM, Louisiana Monroe. They covered the 31-point spread without their 31 guys. 31 for 31. New series documentary chain of ESPN. Missouri, though, this is an SEC opponent. This is an SEC game. Missouri, I think, is going to have a decent amount of success this year. They're going to go bowling, and I think they're going to win a couple of key games. And they got some guys across the defensive front that are stout. So Kentucky, Missouri in the trenches is going to be important. 5.5. Wouldn't be shocked if Missouri wins this game. It is a road game for Missouri. Total is 54. Look, I'm going to say under 54 because Missouri struggled to score the ball against Central Michigan, but they also played really good defense. And then Kentucky, with those guys out, I'm not sure what their depth chart looks like. So they're having a lot of different scout team players or second and third stringers getting in and out. So we are looking to maybe fade Kentucky. Georgia State, like I said, I like the 25.5 against North Carolina. Sure, North Carolina still has Sam Howell, but who else do they have? And he had pressure in his face all night. This Georgia State defense, like I said, they returned so many good guys. They got a lot of first conference team guys. They got some folks that are going to go to the NFL. This Georgia State team is deep, and North Carolina better be careful again. I mean, it's their home opener. I get it. But Georgia State, if they can get their run game going, and I need to look into North Carolina's defense a little more to see if they are susceptible to the run, see what they had to come back. I think Georgia State could have a decent night. Let's see. Jacksonville State, Florida State. I'm probably going to roll with the Gamecocks. I took the points with Jacksonville State last year when these two teams played, and it worked out phenomenally. Washington and Michigan. Washington lost to Montana, FCS foe, and Washington was ranked. So not no mo. Michigan lost their leading receiver, Bell. This is a weird game. A team coming off an FCS loss, a team covering against Western Michigan in Michigan, but losing their top guy at receiver. Speaking of Montana State, well, we talked about them a little while ago in the show, but they're taking on Drake. I'm going to take the Bobcats. Shout out to the state of Missouri, Central Arkansas, and Missouri State. It's going to be a really good game. Moving through some FCS. Vanderbilt, Colorado, no opinion. San Diego State, Arizona. I'm going to say that I think Arizona is a play here, but I like San Diego State to perhaps win. I want to look into that game a bit more. Utah, Utes struggled against Weber State, Brigham Young, BYU getting 7.5, more than a touchdown, and it's still getting -120 shade. BYU, of course, yeah. I mean, I was on Arizona last week to cover the 12.5 or whatever, 12, and they definitely did. They won by 9 or 8 or lost by. So, yeah. USC and that team looks really good right now. Stanford, 17.5, though. I mean, that's a lot. We were on Kansas State last week, and I don't know. No opinion, truly. UNLV, Arizona State, huge spread, 33.5. I'm going to go ahead and pass for now. Hawaii, Oregon State. Yes, this is the last one. Over 62, I don't know. Under 62, I think makes sense. Oregon State's actually got some good linebackers in there. Hawaii put up a crapper of a dud against UCLA. But look, UCLA just beat LSU. So UCLA building with Chip Kelly. Oregon State, Hawaii. I could maybe make a case for the under, but as of right now, I'm not going to be making that case because I need to wrap this show up. So without further ado, as always, please leave a 5-star review over on Apple Podcasts. If you are on Apple product, please follow us on Spotify. I'm trying to get Today in sports betting, up a little higher in the search queue for sports betting. Top 15 is a good spot to be in, but need those follows, need the searches for that to happen. Please use those promo codes. MyBookie.ag is just hoopball, HOOPBALL. You'll hear me talk about it in a different recorded segment. Then we also got MyBookie as a wonderful sponsor to take care of your sports betting needs. You got to get them over in your search platform. Manscaped.com, hoopball20. Go get you some grooming products. I use my lawnmower 3.0. I love it. Built-in LED light, smooth, so smooth. Really takes care of the belly button area nicely. I need to get me a weed whacker. My nose hairs are starting to grow into my mustache. My hair's long. I like my long hair, so it's like I lose my ear hair. I'd forget about it. So my nose and my ears, oof. It's my 29th birthday. I got some hair to take care of. Maybe I get myself a weed whacker for my birthday. And talk to MyBookie. Or Manscaped, I'm sorry. All right, folks. I think now is a good time to let you know that I am sending you all of my good vibes, all of my good energies. Make sure to have a great and kind and wonderful day. Be safe, be patient. If there's someone you can do something nice or kind for, please do it. And if you need something nice, positive, or good to happen in your life, I hope it happens. It will happen, I'm sure. So please do check out hoop-ball.com. Get you some fantasy football and basketball nuggets. Study up. Study up. Make sure that you don't just spend money for no reason in these leagues. Try to win them. You should win them. With our help, we win. Oh, man, I'm telling you, this fantasy basketball season, we're going to win. So, all right, y'all. Y'all have a great, wonderful day. Leave those reviews. Check out the website. Use our promo codes. Continue listening. We love it. Think about joining the family. Come on over. Today in sports betting is out.
This has been a Hoop Ball presentation.